What's up, y'all? Welcome to the next episode on Sterling on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S. And today is the next episode on Marvel Mondays. And today I'll be giving you my review on Blade 2 as part of this series. So before I begin, if you are new to this video or new to this playlist per se, don't you forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the section below. Most importantly, watch. And the same thing goes if you're on Instagram. Like, share, subscribe, or follow me and leave a comment on the section below. And click that, and if you're on YouTube, click that bell so you can keep up to date with every future video I have coming. Let's get to it. So, the synopsis for Blade 2 goes as followed. Exploding from the pages of Marvel Comics comes the thrilling follow-up to the blockbuster Blade. Okay. Half man, half vampire, and consumed by a desire to avenge the curse of his birth and save the human race from a blood-drenched Armageddon. In this newest action-packed adventure, Blade is forced to team up with the very vampires that he hates in order to overcome a new type of monster which threatens to eradicate both races. Here's my take on the story. So the story of Blade 2 is somewhat of an improvement from its predecessor. I feel that part of the reason why is because it is directed by Guillermo del Toro, who brought us both of the Hellboy movies starring Ron Perlman, who is also in this film. Blade 2 simply has a more interesting plot than it looks, with being determined to take down the very vampires, creatures that have a high bloodlust against both the human race and other vampires. The conflict that the movie presents makes the threat more serious than the previous one, because in the previous one, all he had to do was stop some guy named Frost, some vampire named Frost, and then stop him and other vampires that were on his side going rogue on the Blood Nation or the Vampire Nation, whichever one is called, and stop this vampire god or blood god from coming through a portal. Now, this right here is one of the few aspects about the sequel that makes it just a little better, because it is better to watch Blade hunt and kill vampires with other vampires. Despite having more outdated special effects, the action in this movie is way better in this than it was in the first one. The characters. Now, excuse me if this video may not be as long as the other ones. I know you expect me to be very insightful on the movies that I like and the movies that I don't like. But the Blade franchise so far is not the best Marvel franchise that I've seen. Like, it's not because I've seen it once. It just simply, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the tone. It doesn't fit the tone of the average Marvel movie. It feels less heroic and more horrific. But anyway, the characters. Wesley Snipes' Blade is just as good in this one than he was in the first one, in the first movie. The other vampires he fights by are not as compelling as Blade, and as Blade is on his own, but that does not mean we wouldn't prefer that. I mean, we like seeing, if you've seen Blade 2, I'm sure you like seeing him fight alongside these other so-called heroic vampires, which ended up not being true. These vampires that they hunt as an ensemble are different types of vampires. Like, in the first one, every vampires looked exactly like humans, but the only thing you have to take consideration is the fangs, the flangs. But here, you can pretty much tell and differentiate the humans from the vampires. They look more like vampires on the outside. They eat like vampires and act like vampires, as opposed to some of the vampires that appear more as humans with fangs. Rotten Tomatoes gives Blade 2 a 57% score. Blade 2 is not another big favorite either, but it does a little better than the first entry with a fresh ensemble, cooler action, and deadlier vampires. So I'm going to give this movie 6.9 SOs out of 10. So that is the end of my review. I know it was very short, but I tried to cherry pick as much in this movie that I could, but like I said, it was like the first movie. It was underwhelming, but a little better. So, I'm so glad that I'm past the Blade movies, the first Blade movies are behind me, because the next 4 Mondays coming up are going to be very easy for me, because they feature they will see me critiquing some of the Marvel movies pre-MCU that I know by heart and that I love. And this includes the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, which is next week. Stay tuned for that. The Daredevil movie, X-Men 2, X-Men United, and Hulk. So it's going to be very long. It's going to be a while before I get back into this whole Blade thing. But I'm glad I'll be taking a break from this underwhelming Marvel trilogy. But anyway, that is the end of my review. You can let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with my next video on the Pixar franchise. Bye.